Okay, here we go. Solution time for this exercise. We've got quite a few pieces. Starting simple, just evaluate these. Let's start this first one. Select 10 not equal to 10. So 10 is not equal to 10, meaning this would be false because 10 is equal to 10, meaning that we expect to see 0 when we run it. 0 is the MySQL version of false in this case. All right, next up. Select 15 greater than 14 and 99 minus 5 less than or equal to 94. Wow. So first up, on the left-hand side of and, we have 15 greater than 14. That is true. And 99 minus 5, that becomes 4. Sorry, that becomes 94. Is 94 less than or equal to 94? That is also true because they're equal. So we have true and true. The whole thing evaluates to true, which in MySQL is 1. And then finally, select 1 in 5 and 3, or 9 between 8 and 10. When I read it out loud, it just sounds like utter gibberish. But we've got our or, and then the left and the right side. So is 1 in this set of 5, 3? No, it is not. 5 and 3 are the only options. 1 is not in there. So the left side is false. What about the right side? Is 9 between 8 and 10? Yes, it is. So the right side is true, which means the whole thing is true because we're using logical or. So false or true becomes true, and that will evaluate to true, which is 1 in MySQL. Okay, moving on. Now we need to write some queries. Select all the books written before 1980, but not including 1980. So let's do this in a file. Select star from books, where, and then we'll need to work with released date was less than 1980, and that should do it. We don't want less than or equal to. What did I do? Select star from books where, oh, I'm an idiot. It's released year. Let's try that again. Okay, there we are. We got released year 1945. Is that really the only book in there released before 1980? I guess so. We trust our query. Then, our next piece is select all books written by Eggers or Chabon. Okay, so select star from books, where, and I'll do this on the next line, where, and then author last name is exactly equal to Eggers. But then we also want or last name is equal to Chabon. So or author last name is equal to Chabon. Let's try running that one. And we see Eggers, Eggers, Chabon, Eggers. Looks good to me. Now we need to select all the books written by Lahiri, published after the year 2000. Okay, so select star from books, and we want to have the author, so where author last name is exactly equal to Lahiri. And then at the same time, aka and, the release year is greater than 2000. Let's try it. Where's my and? I didn't type and somehow. There we go. We have to have that and to join those two together. And there we see the namesake is written by Lahiri. Release year was 2003. If we got rid of release year, I think we have 2 books in here. Interpreter of Maladies, that was released in 96. So that one was not included when we wrote the more complicated query. Now we need to select all books with page counts between 100 and 200. So there's more than one way of doing this, but let's do select star from books, where pages, and the longer, more annoying way is to say where pages is greater than or equal to 100, and pages is less than or equal to 200. Is that the range we're supposed to do? 100 and 200. And I need a from here. Select star from books. And if you look at the pages here, well, it's ugly how it's wrapped around like this. But we have 198, 176, 181. But the cleaner way is select star from books, where pages is between 100 and 200. Not only is it shorter, but it's just more semantically meaningful. You look at this and the word between is right there. It tells us what we're trying to do. Even if the end result's the same with this other option, you have to look at the code a bit longer to understand what's happening compared to this. but either work. Next up, select all the books where the author last name starts with a C or an S. So this is another one where there's at least a couple ways to do this that I can think of. The one way that you may have come up with first would be to select star from books, where author last name, and then we could do something like where author last name like, and then our first pattern will be a C at the beginning and then wildcard afterwards. So it has to start with a C and then anything after. Or author last name like, and then I think it was an S. Let me verify. Last name starts with a C or an S. Okay, so this is one option. We use or, right? And we check to see two different patterns using like. A C at the beginning, anything afterwards. S at the beginning, anything after. It's very different than this. I hope you can see this font size. Where I have the percent sign at the beginning, that means the C doesn't have to come at the start. This means it does. And now we are getting, for last name, Shabin, Smith, Carver, Steinbeck, Saunders. So that's one option. Now there's another option. It's a little trickier, which is to just take the first letter of the name of every last name. So we saw how to do this a long time ago. We can do this. Let's select author last name, comma, substring, if you remember this, or sub str is the shorter version. And then we provide the column that we're looking for. So I'm looking at author last name, and then the starting index, the starting position, and how many characters I want to take. So I want the first, starting at character 1, go for 1 character. Give me that substring from books, and let's see what we get. Okay, you can see we get L, G for Gaiman, L for Lahiri, E for Eggers, C for Shabin. So we're getting that first letter, and now we could use that. Instead of selecting it, we'll just select the author last name, maybe the title, author last name from books, where that first character is in the set of C and S, I think is the 2 characters we're supposed to do. So very different approach. And we get the same result. Shabin, Smith, Carver, Steinbeck, Saunders. Let me just prove it. Both of those will work. I'm selecting more, right? I selected star here, but otherwise, if I just slim this down, we should get the same result, just so you can compare apples to apples. So here is the longer version using like, and then here is the version using, where'd you go? In and substring. So Shabin, Smith, Carver, Steinbeck, Saunders, same thing here. Okay, I hope that's clear how this one works. We use that substring function to get the first character. We check where that first character from author last name is in this set. Whereas here, we're just checking 2 different patterns. Okay. Next up, this one's a little bit of a pain. We're going to select title and author last name, and then we have a case situation going on over on the right side. So let's select title, author last name, and then we're going to have a case. I like to put the end in there, and I like to do the from books before I forget about that. And our case is going to start by saying if title contains the word stories anywhere, then we will have short stories as the value for type. So case, and then we have when title, like, percent stories, percent, so we get those wildcard characters on either side. When that's the case, then we want short stories, I think is what it was supposed to be. Great. Then let's add in the else just to start with that. So everything else will have a type of novel. So else novel, just like that. And then we're going to call this as type, I think, or genre or something. And let's run it and see if that part's working. Looks good. So we see this has stories. It's classified as short stories, short stories, short stories. Everything else is novel. Okay. Then we can expand with a second when when title, and then this is the annoying one. We have to match just kids and also a heartbreaking work of staggering genius. So when title, and we'll just say is directly equal to just kids, or title is equal to a heart, and I'm just going to copy this so I don't mess up the spelling. Like that. So this is one option for how we do this. Just kids or title equals heartbreaking work of staggering genius. Then we're going to say memoir is the type. Let's try running it. And it looks good. We've got short stories, novel for everything that is not memoir or short stories. And these are the two memoirs, Just Kids and a heartbreaking work of staggering genius. We called it type. I guess I capitalized it in this screenshot, but it doesn't matter. And you probably don't have this null author down here, My Life in Words. That's fine. But we could exclude anything that had null for author L name using is null or where is not null. But it's fine because there's a title here, and that's what we're working with. The author last name doesn't really matter. And that's it, except for if we wanted to clean this up or put this on separate lines, we could just say when title is equal to just kids, then memoir. And then on the next line, say when title is equal to a heartbreaking work of staggering genius, then memoir. Either one, it's both of those are essentially equivalent because the only way this would ever run is if this was false. So you could put it on separate when-then lines or combine it using or. Either one, this works. Just prove one more time. I run it, and we still see memoir for staggering genius and memoir for just kids. Almost there. This is our last one, the bonus. So what we're doing here is generating a table that says how many books each author has written, the count of number of books each author has written, where it's a combination of their first and last name, right? So Dan Harris versus Frida Harris, once again, we're grouping and then counting. So let's start with that group by. So we'll select the author F name, author last name, from books, and we're going to do a group by, and we're going to group by both the first name and the last name. We can't just do the last name, as we already know. And then I'm going to select the count of the number of rows from that group by. And I need a semicolon, and we see 2 for Lahiri, 3 for Neil Gaiman, 1 for Dan Harris. Why don't I add on a down here where from books, let's do where author last name is not null. Just so that I get rid of this bottom row, which you probably don't have to worry about. If you don't have any nulls, you're good to go. So that is half of it. We've got the group by portion done, but we're not just displaying the count. What are we actually displaying? We are displaying the count plus some text that says 2 books, 3 books, 1 book. So we're going to need to use a case. So instead of displaying count right there, I'm going to do a case. We can indent it properly if we want. Case end, and then I'm going to do something like when the count of the number of rows in each group is equal to 1, then that part's easy. We just say 1 book, right? And then I can do, for now, just else multiple books. Okay, so that's not exactly what we're supposed to do, but that gets us close. Oh, and I should give this an as. We'll call this count. And let me put my semicolon in before I forget. If we run this query, we see count is multiple books for Lahiri, Gaiman, Eggers, 1 book for Chabon, Smith, Harris, Saunders. So you can trust that it's working, except we haven't actually done the right output when there are multiple books. I need to take the count and then concatenate that with the word books. So we know how to do that. Instead of else, just multiple books, it's going to be else. We're going to concat the count of star, which again is the number of rows in each group when we do this group by. Then we're going to do the string space books. And that should do it for us. Let's see. 2 books, 3 books, 3 books, 1 book, 1 book, 2 books. Great. That's looking good. And I think we're done, right? 1 book, 1 book, 1 book, 2 books. That's what we're supposed to have. Okay. That was a lot of exercise. Take a break if you feel like you deserve one. I think you do deserve one. I'll see you in the next section.